When my phone buzzed, I was wiring the final 50% to the wedding venue, my sister's dream venue, the one I'd fought to book. The screen lit up with a message from my mother. "Please don't come. We want a drama-free wedding." A second later, right in front of me, Harper hearted it like my absence was the gift she'd been waiting to unwrap. And when her phone tilted, I caught a draft message she hadn't sent yet about using Grandma's fund. They thought they'd erased me, but they had no idea what I was about to undo. Before I go any further, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been pushed aside by your own family. Stories like this are heavy, but if you've lived anything close to it, you'll understand exactly why I couldn't stay silent anymore. I grew up in a house where silence carried more weight than words. The Collins house always looked perfect. White walls, polished floors, framed photos of Harper in every hallway. If you didn't know better, you'd think we were close, but perfection can hide rot and ours hid it well. My earliest memory of imbalance happened at the dinner table. Mom plated food like she was catering a gala, placing the best portions on Harper's plate first. The soft rolls, the golden chicken skin, always hers. By the time the bowl reached me, it was lukewarm scraps. Dad would clear his throat, pretending not to notice. That silence became the language of our home. When Harper broke Grandma's heirloom vase, a piece older than all of us, Mom didn't even ask what happened. She just turned to me. "Avery, you should have been watching her." I was 12. Harper was 10. I remember kneeling on the floor, picking up sharp pieces while Harper cried into Mom's shoulder. That was the first time I understood in this family truth didn't matter. Presentation did. Holidays weren't better. One Christmas, Harper unwrapped a new camera for her influencer dream. I got a planner labeled "Be More Organized." Mom clapped her hands and said, "Perfect for you, Avery." Practical became my identity. Harper got ambitions. I got responsibilities. By high school, I worked part-time at a diner. I saved every tip in labeled envelopes: rent, utilities, emergency. Mom called it helping the household run smoothly. Later, I found out she'd used one envelope to fund Harper's spontaneous weekend trip. When I confronted her, Harper shrugged. "Relax, you always figure things out." But the place where I could breathe was Grandma Evelyn's garden. Lavender apple trees, uneven stone paths, nothing about it was perfect, which made it feel real. One afternoon, she handed me a silver necklace with a compass etched on it. "So you can find your way when this house tries to make you forget yourself," she murmured. I didn't understand then why her voice shook. Years later, she told me quietly that Mom had once emptied a medical savings account behind her back. Grandma forgave her publicly but created a hidden fund afterward. Some things, she said, must be protected from the people you love. I didn't know it then, but that hidden fund and the fact Mom didn't know it existed would matter more than I could imagine. College didn't free me from the family pattern, it just gave Mom new ways to use me. When I landed my first internship, she didn't congratulate me. She said, "Make sure Harper's portfolio looks polished. Opportunities matter more for her." Harper hugged me like I had been promoted to her personal assistant. When I got my first real job, senior project manager at a tech startup, I thought maybe things would shift. I brought home takeout to celebrate. Mom barely looked up from her tablet. "Keep your voice down," she whispered. "Harper's filming." Harper turned ring light glowing behind her and mouthed, "Sorry," without any real apology in it. Still, I tried to keep peace. I handled errands, drove Harper to brand shoots, fixed her captions, proofread her contracts. "You're good at details," she'd say. It sounded like a compliment, but it felt like a box I'd never get out of. The first time wedding planning came up, Harper made it sound harmless. "You're amazing with logistics," she chirped. "Just help me organize a few things." A few things became the whole wedding: venue tours, vendor meetings, deposits, spreadsheets, mood boards, payments. Each time I tried to step back, Mom's voice tightened. "Avery, don't make this difficult. You know your sister needs support." What she meant was, do it because you always do. I didn't realize how deep the entitlement ran until a small slip exposed everything. One spring afternoon, I visited Grandma. She was trimming roses, the sun low and warm over her shoulders. "Your mother stopped by earlier," she said. "She asked about my emergency fund." My heart stuttered. Grandma's voice lowered. "Be careful. They're preparing things without you." I wanted to believe she was overthinking it, but Grandma had never been wrong about the Collins women. A few weeks later, Harper had a minor scandal online, one careless comment in a live stream. Panic erupted. Mom called me at midnight. "Fix this," she demanded. No greeting, no explanation, just expectation. I spent 2 hours crafting a statement, cleaning up her feed, contacting a moderator. Harper texted a thumbs up. That was it. Every scene, every favor, every small dismissal built a map of where I stood in this family. Not a daughter, not a sister, a utility. And utilities don't get invited to celebrations, they get used to power them. I didn't know it then, but every quiet sacrifice, every silence I swallowed was preparing me for the moment everything snapped. The first warning sign came through an email, not a fight. I had spent 3 nights building Harper's wedding timeline, vendor arrivals, lighting cues, rehearsal order. When I sent it to the family group chat, Harper gave it a heart emoji. Mom didn't respond. Dad sent a thumbs up he probably didn't understand. 2 days later, a vendor emailed, "Got Harper's updated timeline. Need your approval." My approval? I hadn't changed anything. I opened the attachment. Harper had rewritten everything, cut buffer time, added a drone session requiring permits, squeezed in a champagne welcome hour, and extended photo content blocks for the aesthetic. It would break the schedule and double the cost. When I called her, she didn't even pretend to explain. "Avery, it's not a big deal. Just make it work. It doesn't fit the budget." She laughed softly. "Budget, you're being dramatic." That word dramatic from someone who staged her whole life online. The next hit came the same evening. A florist emailed saying Harper had upgraded to premium arrangements. At the bottom of the message, Harper mentioned Avery would cover the difference. No hesitation. No question. Just assumption. I forwarded the email to Mom. Her reply arrived instantly. "Harper is under a lot of pressure. Let's just get through the wedding. Translation: pay it, Avery. Always pay it." Later that week, I met Harper and Blake at a cafe with dusty lamps and the smell of burnt espresso. I arrived early, laptop open, contracts ready. Harper walked in late, adjusting her hair for the cafe's lighting. Blake sat beside her, placing his hand on her shoulder like he owned the future. Halfway through the meeting, the coordinator mentioned Harper said, "You approved the premium tableware, so we ordered it." I froze. Harper didn't look up. "It's fine," she said. "You're good with money." "It's $12,000, I replied. "So it's a once-in-a-lifetime event." Blake smiled, but not at me, at the idea of someone else footing the bill. "It'll elevate everything." That's when I started paying attention to him. The expensive watch, the designer shoes, the way his credit card got declined once, and he joked about fraud alerts. He wasn't joking. When I checked the vendor payment logs that night, I noticed a failed transaction tied to Blake. One click deeper showed a history of maxed-out cards, late payments, and a credit score that belonged in the ICU. He wasn't marrying Harper for love. He was marrying into financial stability. And he expected me to help pay for it. But the moment that pushed everything closer to breaking happened at the Collins house. Mom had called me over to finalize costs, which always meant cover more things. The house smelled like lemon polish and pressure. Harper wasn't there. Blake wasn't there. Just Mom, a spreadsheet, and an envelope sitting on the counter. The same kind Grandma kept her emergency fund in. Mom tapped the list. "We're adding a wedding week brunch, welcome dinner, farewell event. It'll impress Blake's family." I stayed still. "How are you paying for it?" She didn't answer. She just glanced at Grandma's envelope. Cold slipped down my spine. "That's not for this," I said. Mom sighed, annoyed. "Avery, she doesn't need that money. Harper does." "No," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "You're being ungrateful." Ungrateful because I refused to let her drain her own mother. That was the moment I felt the first real shift inside me. Small, quiet, sharp. I wasn't done breaking yet, but I had started. 2 days later, I took Grandma to her dress fitting. The boutique smelled like steamed fabric and soft perfume, mirrors everywhere reflecting versions of our lives. While the tailor pinned her hem, Grandma leaned closer, her voice barely above a breath. "They're planning things without you," she said. My stomach tightened. "I know." She looked at me through the mirror. "Don't let them use what I saved for emergencies. That money isn't theirs." I nodded, but the truth was already spreading through me like frost. The breaking point came faster than I expected. I stopped by the Collins house to drop off the finalized rehearsal plan. Another thing Harper refused to acknowledge I'd done. The kitchen lights were bright, too bright, bouncing off spotless counters and the shiny appliances Mom liked to brag about. Harper stood at the island phone, angled high, reviewing her seating chart. Mom hovered beside her like a stage manager. Neither looked up when I walked in. "Oh," Harper said finally. "Didn't know you were coming." Not rude, just indifferent. The kind of indifference that cuts deeper than insults. Mom pointed at the chart. Harper found a better layout. More elegant for photos. Better because it came from her. Always her. Then Harper's phone lit up. I saw it happen in slow motion. The message from Mom. "Please don't come. We want a drama-free wedding. Sent, delivered, seen." And then Harper tapped the heart, right in front of me. That alone was enough. But fate wasn't finished. As she locked her phone, the screen angled just enough for me to see the unsent message floating above the keyboard. "We can use Grandma's fund. Avery won't know." My breath went cold. The room blurred at the edges. This wasn't negligence. This wasn't miscommunication. This was a plan. I looked at Mom. She didn't deny it. She didn't flinch. She just waited for me to stay quiet the way I always did. Something in me dropped like a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying finally hit the ground. I walked out without speaking. At home, my apartment felt smaller, tighter. The hum of my fridge was suddenly too loud. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up every wedding contract. Rows and rows of numbers glowed back at me. Deposits, upgrades, permits, equipment rentals. Every signature was mine. Every approval mine. Every vendor tied legally to me. Harper hadn't built her dream wedding. I had. And they were planning to celebrate it without me while draining Grandma's savings to finish the show. Then a new message popped into the family chat. "Harper, Mom wants my layout instead." No thank you, no acknowledgement, not even an emoji. Cruelty doesn't need volume. Sometimes it's quiet, casual, expected. I stared at my screen for a long moment, then opened a new email, short, professional, emotionless. "To the venue, we will not be moving forward. To the catering team, cancel all pending invoices. To every vendor, cease preparation immediately." My fingers didn't shake. My breath didn't hitch. For the first time, I wasn't carrying them. I was letting everything fall exactly where it belonged. The airport was colder than I expected. Fluorescent lights washed everything in a harsh blue, the kind that makes people look more honest than they want to be. Travelers dragged suitcases across the floor, wheels clicking like a countdown. Grandma stood beside me, steady despite her small frame. Mason checked his watch, then faced the sliding doors. "They'll be out soon," he said. I nodded. My pulse didn't race. It just settled into something clear and sharp. Then I saw them. Elaine walked out, first coat draped over her arm, chin lifted like she was stepping off a private jet instead of a budget flight. Harper followed, sunglasses on indoors, dragging an oversized suitcase. Blake trailed behind, scrolling his phone, jaw tight. Mom spotted us and stopped short. Avery, what are you doing here?" "We already have a ride. We're not here to pick you up," I said. Harper scoffed. "Then what? You're finally here to apologize." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Mason stepped forward. "Good morning. I'm Mason Ward, legal counsel for Avery Collins and Evelyn Collins." Elaine's face drained. "A lawyer, oh, for God's sake." Mason handed her a folder. Inside is documentation of unauthorized vendor upgrades, financial manipulation involving Avery's accounts, and an attempted misuse of Evelyn's emergency fund. Blake reached for the folder. His eyes skimmed the pages and something in his expression cracked. "This isn't accurate," he muttered. "It's entirely accurate," Mason said. Before Harper could speak, a voice called out behind her. "Miss Collins." We all turned. The florist walked toward us, holding a clipboard. "I've been trying to reach you," she said to me. "Your sister signed off on premium upgrades under your name. We need clarification before proceeding." A small crowd had gathered now, travelers slowing down, phones tilting upward. Elaine's worst nightmare. Harper's voice tightened. "Why would you show up here?" The florist blinked. "You told us Avery approved everything." "She didn't." Harper's composure slipped. "You're making a scene. You made the choices, I said." Mason continued, calm and lethal. Additionally, Blake's financial records confirm substantial outstanding debt, which appears connected to his pressure on the Collins family to fund the wedding. Blake flinched. "This is blown out of proportion." "No." Mason replied, "This is the proportion." Elaine stepped forward, voice shaking. Avery, we can fix this. Just tell us what you want. I want you to understand I'm done, I said. Done paying, done fixing, done pretending this family treats me like anything but a resource. Harper's eyes filled not with regret but panic. So you're punishing us? No, I said. I'm protecting myself. Richard finally spoke quiet and late. I'm sorry, Avery. We should have done better. I nodded once. The apology didn't fix anything, but at least it was real. Mason closed the folder. Effective immediately, none of you have access to Evelyn's accounts, and all vendor contracts under Avery are canceled. Elaine's voice dropped to a whisper. This will ruin everything. Grandma stepped forward. No, you ruined it the moment you forgot who your daughter was. They all stared at me, confused, angry, stunned. Avery Mom said, desperate now, what are we supposed to do? I held her gaze. Figure it out. The same way you expected me to. Then I turned and walked away with Grandma beside me, leaving their stunned silence behind us, like a door, finally closing. In the days after the airport, my phone lit up nonstop calls from Mom, long texts from Harper, a confused voicemail from Dad. I didn't answer any of them. Silence was the first boundary I'd ever drawn, and it felt cleaner than I expected. Vendor confirmations began rolling in, refund processed, contract canceled, balance returned. One by one, the pieces of their perfect wedding fell apart. No dramatic explosion, just quiet collapse, the kind that happens when the person holding everything together finally steps away. I spent more afternoons at Grandma's house. Her garden felt different after the confrontation, lighter, as if the roses themselves were relieved. We sat on the old bench under the apple tree's sunlight slipping through the branches in thin, warm stripes. You did the hard thing, Grandma said, her hand resting on mine. I just stopped carrying them, I replied. She smiled. Most people never learn how. For the first time in years, I wasn't on a deadline. I wasn't fixing anyone's crisis. I wasn't the family's safety net. I filled out paperwork for a volunteer program that supports older adults, people like Grandma who need an advocate long before anyone realizes it. But even peace has an edge. One afternoon, Grandma went inside and returned with a slim envelope, cream paper sealed carefully. She held it out with both hands. I met with my lawyer last year, she said. I wanted to be prepared. My breath caught. Prepared for what? For the truth, she answered softly. And for you. I opened it. The first line of her will was short, direct, impossible to misinterpret. To the only one who never took from me. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The weight of it hit deeper than any apology I'd ever hoped for, from my family. Grandma squeezed my hand. Your mother and sister will come back around, not to you, to what they lost. Be ready. Her words hung in the air like a warning and a promise. They thought cutting me out of the wedding removed my power, but all they did was hand me the perfect leverage. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, I hope this story reminds you of something important. Silence isn't strength, and boundaries aren't cruelty. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who refuse to see you. And if any part of my story hit a nerve, you're not alone. Drop a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and hit subscribe. Because stories like mine don't end with a single confrontation. There's always another chapter, especially when a family finally realizes what they lost.